Citizens, I spent most of The Walking Dead Season 7 premiere like this. And like this. And like this. Stay tuned for my reaction and review of The Walking Dead. And there will be spoilers. So if you haven't watched the episode yet, stop here, watch the episode, come back to this video. Alright. Yo. Negan has found our group. Negan has found our group. Negan is here. Negan is here. For those of you who don't follow the comic, this is like the biggest point of the whole series when Negan comes in, because it changes so much of the coloring of the series and Rick. This whole episode was purely about breaking Rick's spirit. However, it was about breaking our spirit too, because we had so much hope. We had so much faith. You know how cocky Rick and his group got, mostly Rick, about just taking out the Saviors, because he underestimated how large and powerful this group really is. And although I was not spoiled by one of the deaths, I believe in the episode where the doctor had received the bow through the eye, I think that's where Abe was supposed to actually meet his maker, but all of this stuff was just crazy to me. One of the things that got me was, like, I was watching the episode, and shout out to Shayla, thank you for allowing me to hang out with you, because I don't think I could have watched this episode by myself, because that's what I was going to do, is watch it by myself. And I'm glad that she reached out, because my mouth was just open. Okay, so I follow the Twitter feed, The Walking Dead, with the Lucille bat, and retweeted all night with that. So make sure you follow me on Twitter. One of the things that I was just taken back was that I thought I was going to miss something within the first 27 minutes. And you know what? The first 27 minutes was just getting you prepared and ready for what you was about to see. And then when we came back from commercial break and we got the graphic disclaimer, I was like, oh my gosh, it's about to go down. It's about to go down. So picturing the death scenes in my head was totally different than actually experiencing the way that the directors saw it. It was just so ratchet. Oh my gosh. Well, maybe ratchet is not the right word with the bat and everything. But from just watching a lot of prediction videos and just coming to believe, I just knew that Abe was going to take Abe was going to be Lucille first. And from just the 3 episodes building up to, in season 6, the last 3 episodes, he was getting a lot of screen time. He was getting a lot of funny lines. He and Sasha were building something, and he was ending something with Rosita, and he was also having a lot of screen time with Glenn. And so it's like, okay, what's going on here? Because it's like you look at Abe in a different way, and I felt like he was the more powerful of the group when it comes to brawn, and he had that military experience. So he's also dealt with loss, just like many people in our group. So it was, you feel a certain way for Abe. You don't want him to meet his demise like that. But when you hear the sound effect of the bat hitting his head, and then Negan pounding over and over and over, and then his body just lying there for an ungodly amount of time, I think I was in shock. I was like this. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I wanted to watch, I didn't want to watch, I wanted to watch, I didn't want to watch, and anytime I was watching is when he was getting his head laid into. So it was just, Lucille is a beast. Just the way that just happened. And I put myself in Rosita, Sasha, and Eugene's place, and like, those are the ones who had the largest relationship with Abraham. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, it's just too much. I'm like, I will be in shock. I'll be afraid for my life. I would want to fight, but you know the odds are against you. So it's just like so many things are running through your head, and they were running through my head too. So it's just like I internalized a lot of that moment. And then with Rick doing all these flashbacks and everybody getting bopped on the head, it was just crazy. It was just like, okay, this is a dream, this is a dream, this is a dream, this is a dream. You just so in that moment wanted it to be a dream, and it's not. Moving on, with Rick and Negan, it was so much of a play on the right hand. In the comic, Rick lost his right hand, I think, but around when the governor, stuff went to pieces. And so I know there was talk about him still losing his right hand, but not in the beginning because it was going to cost a lot of money to green screen it and do the effects. But this axe that they kept playing with, when Negan put out the alcohol, I was like, oh no, it's about to go down. Then he cleans off the axe. And I was just like, are they going to take his hand? Are they going to take his hand? I mean, I don't think at this point it does anything with the story, but there's a reason why Rick has the axe all the time. You really couldn't use the gun effectively and like reload the gun and all that. So it would just take a lot to have that play out. So that's why he had the axe. And then it was just, Negan was showing how he was toying with him and go give an axe, who do you belong to? All of this mind tripping that was just going on in this whole thing. And then how many times was Rick's life in danger, rolling around and rolling almost on that walker head, grabbing that walker that was hanging there, and then his body fell into it. I was just like, I can't take it. And then he's like, when he was also on top of the RV, and Negan's like, bring me my axe, and then he starts shooting through it. I was just like, if this is not an initiation of some sort, I mean, my gosh, he was like really pouring into Rick. And then you just really, at that moment, you just don't know what's happening because it's all from Rick's perspective. And then fast forward, going back to the scene, you would think if you were in that moment, you would fight for your life. I would want to fight for my life, even if it's inevitable. I don't want to just be Lucille or take the blows, and that's what it is. And so when Daryl came out and punched Negan in the face, I was like, yes! And then I was like, no, because Negan is more of an egomaniac, and everything is a lesson for the people under him that this is not something that's okay. So when he was doing all this showboating and talking and telling everybody how their lives are going to be and the new rules, when he laid into Glenn's head, I just about lost it because, okay, he's still talking. Negan is still talking. Glenn gets hit, and Glenn is trying to say something. He's thinking about something. He's thinking about Maggie, and I lost what he was trying to say because I couldn't understand. And we pretty much grew up with Glenn. Walking Dead's been on for now, if you season 7 years. Glenn was 7 years younger, and in the show portrayed pretty young, and so you get to see him mature. And so with Glenn's first supposed kill scene by the dumpster, that showed us how much we really cared about Glenn. And so with this being done, it's like Glenn's death, ultimately changes the course of the show and still had to go. So Glenn was the one that was supposed to die here solely, and so it was just gruesome. His eye was just bulged out. It was just out, and he's talking, and it's like, oh. Part of me was like, don't hit him again, and the other part of me was like, he looks like he's seasoned, so let's go ahead and put him out of his misery. So it was just a lot to deal with. And then Maggie's already sick. Maggie is already sick and just down with her pregnancy. And so in that moment, I just totally lost it for Maggie because just think about it. She's lost everybody in her life. She lost her father to the governor. She lost her sister to Dawn. She lost her husband to Negan. And think about it. These are all powerful players and powerful sex at the time. So Maggie, this has got to be her turning point because she's lost every family member to a powerful player in The Walking Dead. This is crazy to me. So she seemed like she was rising out of the dust and the fire like a phoenix. She, even through all of this illness with her body, is still the most resilient and strong-minded person. So I feel like Maggie is about to she's about to turn up. She's about to turn up like there isn't No, she's about to turn up, and it's about to be on. Because this had to happen for Maggie's character to develop in the way I guess it's supposed to develop. So, the heartbreaking scene for me, though, and Rick's lost people, but Carl, he's got Carl and Michonne. And Michonne really did try to, you know, explain to Negan, look, I'm reaching out. I see what you're doing. You're good. But Negan knew that Rick's spirit wasn't broken. And so he used Carl to get there. And when he was wanting Rick to cut off Carl's arm, and Carl in that moment was just like, just do it. Oh, Carl's already like one eye, and then ain't gonna be like one hand. So it was just in that moment, Carl, you see Carl's strength, you see Michonne's strength. But when Rick started doing the ugly cry, I'm talking about you cannot stop. Your parents tell you to stop crying, or they're gonna give you something to cry about. He could not stop, and then all of the snot was running out of his nose. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is it. And that's what Negan wanted. Negan wanted that spirit to be broke, because then he would be able to use him. But